Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our weekly political program on Lagos television, The Pendulum. I am Ajibola Ojeshola. We are back again to discuss another germane issue as we progress as a country. What we are looking at on the program today affects almost every part of our daily activities in the country. And what's that? It's insecurity in Nigeria. We know it's a major challenge confronting the country as we speak. Despite the huge monthly and, of course, yearly allocations of budgets being given to this particular sector of the economy. Yet, we have not been able to come out of it. As a nation, what are the major challenges of insecurity that we have, and what are the likely solutions that we can profile so that Nigeria can at least have peace in some parts of the country? That's our topic for discussion this evening on the program. But before we start our conversation this evening, we'll be taking a very short break on the program to bring you some of the trending news in the polity. We'll be right back. In case you just joined us, you're watching The Pendulum, our weekly political program on Lagos television. Before that break, I did say that we shall be focusing on insecurity and the likely solutions that we can profile for the insecurity problem facing Nigeria in the country. We have joining us this evening somebody who should know when it comes to tackling insecurity in the country. He was a former retired police officer, is a legal practitioner, and of course, a security consultant. We have with us in the studio this evening, Sir Sebastian Bath Ozuana. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right. From my introduction earlier, there is no gainsaying that Nigeria is still facing the problem of insecurity, especially when you look at the northern parts of the country, where insurgency is still a major issue. And of course, in some parts as well, farmers are not able to farm, people are not able to function well compared to what we have in this part of the country. What are the factors that you have been able to identify over the years as those things that are responsible for the alarming rate of insecurity that we are faced with in the country?
Thank you very much, Ebola. You see, security, like one of my friends who said then, is everybody's business. But unfortunately, in the recent past, for some years now, the northern parts of this country have witnessed unprecedented insecurity. And this is very unfortunate. Some of us with security experience have been making suggestions as to how to tackle this insecurity. But for one reason or the other, we do not know why the powers that be have given deaf ears to the calls by some people on how to tackle this insecurity.
Before we tackle the problem of insecurity, As a security consultant and a retired police officer, what are those germane things that you have seen or observed that are responsible for these insecurity first before we talk about solutions?
First and foremost, I feel that, from my own point of view, I feel that our security agencies, particularly the police force, is overwhelmed, have been overwhelmed. You see? I still remember very well when the current defense minister, Matawale, was the governor of Zamfara State. He did say that there are 30,000 bandits in Zamfara State alone, and that in the northwest, according to him, at that time, there are 120,000 bandits. So when you look at these figures, it's a huge army. Then you ask yourself, in the face of this figure of bandits, as we are told, what is the strength of the Nigeria police force? The strength is less than 400,000. Then how do you tackle the issues in Zamfara and Northwest alone with the number of policemen we have in this country? So one would have expected that the government should have been very, very proactive in taking certain important and urgent decisions. By, for instance, amending the constitution of this country to allow for state police.
But tackling the problem of insecurity goes beyond the police alone. We have the Army, we have the Navy, we have the Air Force, and repeatedly they have also said that they do not have enough manpower to tackle this problem.
Yes, thank you very much. That's the mistake some people make, or most people make. The functions of the military, that's the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, is not internal security as such. The officially and constitutionally established body for internal security is principally the police and not the army. The functions of the army are stipulated in section 217 of the Constitution. That is why you see, you go to civilized countries, the Western world, Europe and America and things like that, you hardly see a soldier on the street because they confine themselves to their traditional function.
Well, the problem in this part of the world is peculiar. Yes. We all know that our borders are porous, and of course, whether we like it or not, at one time or the other, we might need to engage these military men to at least protect us against external aggression because of the porosity of our borders.
The police force, first and foremost, is under strength. Their number is not enough. The United Nations ratio of police to population is 400 to 1. In Nigeria, it is about almost 700 to 1 policeman. It's not enough. But if we make provision for state police, for those states or group of states who are prepared for it, that would be the better for us. And not every time we go run to the army. It's not their duty at all. The functions of the army is as stipulated in section 217 of the Constitution, which says defending Nigeria from external aggression. That's the main function of any army of any country. Secondly is maintaining its territorial integrity and securing the borders from violation on land, sea, and air. That's the second function. Then the third one, suppressing insurrection and acting in aid of civil authority whenever they are called upon to do so. And
so what do we call the insurgency?
Insurgency, the main problem of this country now is banditry. Insurgency is the type that we have in the Northeast. which is much more than. So that one is an insurrection. I agree with you. That's why the soldiers are there. And they are supposed to protect this country by not allowing the ISIS, Islamic State of West Africa province. Like that's how it started. If you remember the origin, how the Boko Haram started in, I think, 2009. That was a full, that's why the army, the soldiers are there. But the banditry, kidnapping, robbery, all these things are for the police. And the police in Nigeria are not enough. Let us expand the function of internal security. You know what happened in America in September 11? If you recall September 11, 2000 attack in America, 2001. America was taken by surprise. The Twin Towers of the World Trade Center were pulled down, and 2 other places. What did America do? They went back to the drawing board, and in no time came out with the establishment of the Department of Homeland Security, which comprised a number of bodies. And since that time, but we in this part of the world, we have serious security issues, internal security issues, but we don't want to face it.
But we also have a joint task force.
All these are not, joint task force comprises the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. Let them do their own job as prescribed by the Constitution. And let us have organizations that will take care of internal security. There was a professor in the University of Sokoto some years ago, when this banditry was starting. The guy did a research, went on to live with the bandits, and came out with a paper and suggested a way forward. According to him, he recommended the establishment of a third force or a middle force between the armed forces and the police to tackle this banditry. Live with the bandits over time. He did a proper research and came out with a paper. He said, look, this thing has gone beyond what the Nigeria police force can do. Let the government establish a middle force, he called it, I'm using his language, a middle force between the armed forces. That is, armed forces means the police, Navy, Air Force, and the police. To tackle everything they heap on the police. Sometimes they will send the army, they will leave their core functions, just beating about the bush like that.
But right now we have some regional security outfits in some parts of the country.
Thank you very much.
Like in the southwest here, we have Amotekun, and we have something, a replica of that in the southeast and of course in the north.
Thank you very much. The establishment of these bodies is an admission of failure by the Central Internal Security Agency, that is the police. Why not amend the Constitution? Because under Section 214 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there is no other police force that should be established other than Nigeria Police Force. By establishing Omoteko, what do you give them? What arms do you give them? When you talk about the military, the police, the Nigeria Police Force, there are classes of weapons you allow these people to carry. Omoteko is not permitted to bear certain superior weapons like the AK-47, AK-49. You establish my learned friend and senior advocate of Nigeria, Akredol, may so rest in peace. He was the main man spearheading this Omoteko, and they had the difficulty of properly arming the Omotekos. The highest they were permitted to carry was pump-action rifle, pump-action guns. How do you expect somebody with a pump-action gun to confront somebody with an AK-47 or AK-49 rifle? The difference between all these things they're establishing is in the weaponry that the law permits them to carry. But if you establish a police force for those willing to have it, we had this before the war, before we
so you're saying now that yes, if the Constitution is amended in such a way yes, that each state is allowed
those
to
willing,
have...
it's not even by force, those willing to.
It's not going to be they are not going to be compelled.
It's not going to be. Just like we had in the 1960 Independence Constitution, Section 98(7) of that Constitution, the Independent Constitution of Nigeria, 1960, had a provision in Section 98(7) that any region, that time we are still operating on regional basis, that any region willing to can make laws for the local government of that region
to establish
police forces.
Okay,
and
so
the West had it. The North had it. They called them Native Authority Police in the North. In the West here, we had the local government police. And they were the East, only the East is not cashing on that provision of the Constitution.
So you're implying now that if we amend this 1999 Constitution to accommodate the creation of state police, all this challenge of insecurity that we are facing in different parts of the country will be a thing of the past.
It will be a thing of the past because they will be properly armed to confront the bandits and the terrorists or whatever. Yes, I can assure you that if the Constitution is amended and some states or states willing to are permitted to have state police, some of the states will so equip their police by even buying armored personnel carriers of the most superior in the world.
But even the federal government is battling with providing our police officers with the necessary tools for them to function as security officers.
With the proper equipment.
So what about the problem of funding? Even when states are allowed to create this state police?
Yes. I don't think we are sincere at the federal level. If you are allowed, if they give the police proper APCs, the APCs in the world today that are fireproof, bomb-proof, and bulletproof. What do we have in Nigeria today? At the time Hindro retired as the Inspector General of Police, we had less than 30 APCs in this country. And they were the ones that Shagari regime bought in before he was over.
What about the funding of this police?
They should be able to fund it. They should be able to fund it. How much I was spending? There was a research I did the other time, either last year. The police was given, is it 7 billion for that year? 7 billion or something like that. They were given less than 1/4 of that amount for the whole year, that's for the whole 12 months. The National Assembly made up of less than, I think they're less than, how many? They're less than 1,000. Their allocation, which doubles that of the police, was paid in full to the last kobo.
What are the other technicalities surrounding the inadequate manpower and the issue of funding that we have? Beyond all of that, what are the other things creating this problem of insecurity? Because recently, I think it was in Bauchi State, the former president of the country, Olusegun Obasanjo, raised an alarm that we have 20 million children out of school in the north. And whether we like it or not, those children are going to be a security threat in the future.
Yes. You see, part of the problem we have is this. You see, even the police, the number of policemen we have are not properly being used. 1/4 of the strength of the police are in private hands, from the senators to the reps to the State House of Assembly and things like that. In other parts of the world, you have global security. But in Nigeria, we engage in personal security. Because you're a senator, you are 10 policemen, 20 policemen are assigned to you. You're a House of Reps man, 15 policemen are assigned to you. You are a governor, you are a House of Assembly man in the state, 15 policemen are assigned to you.
I want you to speak to the alarm raised by the former president.
Yes.
Are those children actually security threats?
They are, because if these boys find nothing to do, they are potential.
They're boys and girls.
Yeah, boys and girls. They are potential Boko Haram members in future because they will be enlisted into Boko Haram and all these criminal bodies. That's the danger. If they find nothing doing, do you know that we operate a federation? Nigeria is operating a federal system of government.
On paper.
On paper. And to show you that we are not sincere with ourselves, there is something they call the Forum of Federations in the world. There are 27 in number. A Forum of Federations, 27 in number, are made up of countries that operate a federal system of government. all over the world. There are 27. America is there, Canada is there, Nigeria is there, all these countries that operate. It is only Nigeria that operates a single police force. Of these 27 members of the Forum of Federations, why is it so? America has 18,000 police agencies, from the federal to the state to the county to the town up to schools. America operates 18,000 police agencies. Why must we have one police force in Nigeria? Somebody is sitting down in Abuja, is controlling the police force in Sambisa Forest. He cannot do that effectively. Somebody sitting down in Abuja is controlling the police force in Bonny, in the Atlantic Ocean. I was a police officer in Port Harcourt. If you are in Bonny, you will see the ships plying the Atlantic Ocean. It's not proper organization, it's not proper administration. There will be lack of proper supervision. So we need to open the windows for people, I still maintain it, for people, states or group of states who feel like, who know that they can operate or they can run a police force to do so. And I can assure you that it will bring a lot of improvement in internal security of this country.
Okay, as we start wrapping up our conversation on the program this evening, is there anything or any impact that technology can also make in fighting this problem of insecurity?
Yes. Not quite long ago, a retired AIG, I've forgotten his name, he told us of how the former IG, Solomon Arase, set up a technology something on how to track these kidnappers. I think he said somewhere along the line, they now converted it, to see the sincerity in this country, they now converted that technological something to another use. And because of that, you can, if properly used, if we use technology in this country to track like these kidnappers will kidnap people, go into the bush,
collect ransom,
use our phone number, despite our name, our this, our that, all this.
And the registration of our SIM card.
SIM card, go and do this, go and do that. And they begin to wonder, how do these kidnappers collect these ransoms? We see them sometimes, they video this, they post it. So technology properly funded, the police can depend on technology in doing a lot of things. I remember about 2 years ago.
I want us to look beyond the police because they are not the only one responsible for our security.
Police is in the front line of internal security. I keep saying that. Internal security is subdivided. You have the military, they are for the space of the territorial integrity, just like I read out here.
But they are all intertwined.
They are all intertwined. I agree they are intertwined. Police is in the front line of internal security. So most of what we'll be saying will be how to improve it or how to add other agencies that will assist them to perform better. All right.
I think that's a good place to stop our conversation on the problem of insecurity in Nigeria as well as solutions. I've been speaking with Sir Sebastian Bath Uzwana, a retired police officer, a legal practitioner, and of course a security consultant. He's been able to share his own perspective with us as regards how we can tackle the problem of insecurity. But most importantly, he kept hammering on the fact that the Constitution should be amended to accommodate the creation of state police. We thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jubala. Thank you.
All right, that's it today on our weekly political program, The Pendulum on Lagos Television. We'll return again next week with another topic of discussion on the program. I am Ajibola Ojeshola. I'll see you some other time.